The crypto use case that nobody saw coming was apparently if you have $300,000 of one specific coin, you'll get access to a very mid stake and some very sad potatoes at the presidential dinner. But more on that in a bit. Welcome to Cryptocurrents, the weekly podcast of people working in the blockchain industry talking about everything that you need to know that's going on in crypto. No FOMO, no shilling. We're just giving you the best information possible so that you're ready to go out into the world and crush it. Think of us like your favorite pasta shape. We're coming at you every week with a different dish, and we're bringing them all al dente. I'm your host, Vince, and my favorite pasta shape is orchetti. Today, I'm joined by our resident DJ from the Encrypt team, Kale,
Bucatini Enjoyer here. Hello.
and Katya from the Mew team.
And I'll have the lobster ravioli. Thank you.
Okay,
Wow.
just calling or filling. I love to see that. So we'll start to talk more about the presidential dinner and all the hype and rug pulley of it all in a bit. But first, I want to talk about Sui. So Sui's been in the news now for a couple of things. Most recently was for a $200 million hack of one of their exchanges. And then I think it was last week, a similar hack on a DeFi protocol. And so we're seeing a lot of buzz and conversation regarding them freezing the chain, rolling it back, and redistributing funds to the users. So now, Kale, talk to me about this accusation of centralization, how you feel about that, and what's the general mindset regarding these actions?
Well, I mean, I have a kind of different take than the general mindset, so to speak, at least on crypto Twitter. But I feel like it's kind of cool to see them. Well, first of all, like the whole hack happened, right? A bunch of people lost money. I think it's cool to see them at least trying to restore people's funds. Um, and obviously it like clashes with the whole decentralization part of crypto. But my whole thing is I just feel like if crypto's ever gonna, fully be adopted worldwide, we need some kind of mechanism like this that lets people recover lost funds. Because I mean, people
Mm.
make mistakes, and people are already used to the TradFi system that we exist in, where if somebody scams me, it's like the bank's gonna give me my money back, right? So I mean, I feel like if we ever,
Hopefully.
I mean, exactly,
Depends. Wells Fargo might just be like, we don't know how computers work.
yeah. What's the printer? But yeah, I just feel like we need something like this if crypto's ever going to be fully mainstream and actually a new financial system. So I don't know, bittersweet, but it kind of has to happen in my opinion.
I'm surprised by that take. I thought you as a degen would be upset if someone reached into your pocket and said, well, you arbed that trade a little too hard. We're going to take back some of these funds.
Well, I mean, I am a DJ, but also like, laws exist for a reason, and you need to like be nice to people, and people need to be nice to each other, or else everything falls apart. So it's like, yeah, if you're stealing people's shit, yeah, no, like that's not allowed. Don't do that.
Katya, you're the idealist at heart. Talk to us about this Sui freeze and hack and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, Kale and I talked a little bit about this earlier, and he mentioned, like others have mentioned, in response to this, that Ethereum did the fork back in the day. They tried to fix something that went wrong. But I disagree that it's the same. I think it's quite different because with Ethereum, it was a fork, something that is known to be in the blockchain, a decentralized blockchain toolkit. Like this is something that decentralized blockchains can do on a regular basis, even like upgrades that Ethereum has technically like inside the way they work is like technically a fork, but it's just backward compatible with everything before it. Like it doesn't segment the community. But it doesn't freeze that. Like the reason that Ethereum did a fork is because they couldn't freeze things, right? So they were like, what we can do is, the motion keeps going forward, but we can separate it to, and then the validators choose, who they want, which side they want to support. etc. Yeah, I am, I think, an idealist at heart, a purist at heart. I like to point things and say, it can be done.
Mhm.
You know, like it is possible. I am one of those people, like, I don't like the phrase, uh, it's only human, like, because I'm like, Einstein was human, Mozart was human. Like, I like to think a human is a thing to aspire to with extremely big possibilities, right?
Also,
Mhm.
humans
So,
evolve.
right.
True.
So I'm kind of the same about blockchains. I'm like, it's possible. It can be done differently. Blockchains can evolve. Ethereum has evolved over, these 10 years. So I do like that Sui is kind of focusing on community now. Like they're saying, like, we're going to rebuild our security with the community focus. We're going to make sure that we're supporting devs and they have what they need, that, like all the builders on the chain have the resources or whatever it is that they want to do, which I think also is a kind of knockoff of of what Ethereum has done, because Ethereum is known for having a very active dev community and
Mm.
also centralized in a way where, like, you have thought leaders and there's Vitalik and then there's like OG developers who are thought leaders in the space who help other projects, the Ethereum Foundation. So they do have sort of like a hub of um, people working to keep the chain going in the direction, but the chain itself is decentralized and they are working. One of their goals is to keep it decentralized, right? And to keep it at all against all odds. So I guess we'll see what happens. Like maybe this is Sui's, DAO. Maybe this is Sui's fork, and then going forward, they're gonna be like all decentralized, community centric, and whatever. And I don't know, more power to them.
Yeah, I'm on the fence from both of you because I do agree with Kale. If we do want to see mainstream adoption, there does need to be the ability for do-overs for when you're scammed, for when there are problems. But at the same time, yeah, like the promise of decentralization. So I wonder if there's an interesting way in which decentralization can still occur, but there can be protections in place. I feel like uh a lot of startups in the space have tried to do like insurance, and then they ultimately just kind of fold because there's not enough of a buy-in. But yeah, I think it's interesting, and I like that Subi's going community focused for the rebuilding because I think that is vastly different from like the Solana. Like Solana is just like, screw you, we turned it off and turned it back on again. Like we're in charge. Let's release a stupid commercial. Like
Oh
Yeah,
right?
my God.
true that.
The commercial still stings.
Sui's
And
giving a
speak
lot more attention to the community, which is nice to see.
definitely. Speaking of Solana, so the Solana co-founder was recently just doxxed on Instagram. Showed photos of them with their passport and I think it's their wife's driver's license. And there's a lot of conversation about, is this related to the Coinbase hack? Was this where they got that information? Uh, Kind of just speculation, but I want to kind of zoom out on this because recently we've seen an uptick, at least kind of in my general news zeitgeist, of crypto founders and crypto millionaires being attacked or being ransomed. With the Solana thing, the hacker said you should have just paid the 40 Bitcoin, which I'm like, that's a lot of money. But yeah, I just kind of want to know, like, is it just me that feels like, oh yeah, there's a lot of like uptick in these wrench attacks, and for those that don't know, Katya, you're the one that taught me the wrench attack nomenclature. Can you explain that and then give your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, it's called the $5 wrench attack. I believe it originates with this creator called XKCD Cartoons,
Hmm.
who creates these, like, he's himself a physicist, I think, and he creates these like math and physics and things like base cartoons. I don't know if that's the origin of it, but it's one of the origins. And basically it's two guys going like, we need to break into this guy's like computer or whatever, and like cryptographic protection is this and this, and like it will take our computer with this power 500 million years to break in, so dang, like we can't get him. And the other guy goes, we buy this $5 wrench and hit him with it until he gives us his password. So that's the $5 grim, but that's the $5 wrench attack. So um with the recent like the Coinbase hack also like brought a lot of this to the surface. When you KYC with an exchange, you give all of your information, including obviously your driver license, which has your address on it. And so this opens the door to physical attacks. Similar concerns were raised when Ledger had a leak in their database and of addresses. So like if you ordered Ledgers, then they have your home address. So, and presumably if you're ordering a Ledger, then you're holding something on it. So, and this becomes a real, I think, risk for crypto holders, that now somebody can get your home address and come over to your house and say, we know you have crypto. And you just, and I do agree that recently these headlines, just the other day, I was talking to Kayla about this ridiculous like yellow press headline, which was like, crypto investor like holds someone hostage in their house for 3 weeks, trying to get, and it's just some rando guy, like I'm sure he has crypto. I'm like, what is this headline? Like if I decided to streak naked through Central Park, will the headline be crypto investor streaks naked? Like it seems like it's looking for, like looking to make it sensational. But yeah, I do agree that, and the KYC thing, Coinbase, the besieged Coinbase, apparently is also being sued in Illinois or somewhere by people who are alleging that Coinbase broke state biometric laws, because when it does its KYC, it sends the pictures to a third party to authenticate and does not disclose that to the users, and does not disclose to the users how long it's holding the information, how long it's going to. So the KYCing via these big centralized providers is becoming a huge deal, because it's a potential for doxing everyone.
Yeah.
And if you have $100 worth of crypto on your ledger, then, but again, like it doesn't matter, because you're still they don't, like you're still at risk. So it's becoming, emerging as a problem.
Today I learned that Illinois had very strict biometric rules.
Apparently.
I only assumed like 20 people had computers in that state.
I think they are the ones with the class action suit for Coinbase. I think those are the people. Yes,
that makes sense. Kale, talk to me about all of these happenings going on, and what that kind of means for the broader ecosystem, both like at the top level, but also for normies.
Well, I mean, broadly speaking, people just need to be more on top of it. Apparently, according to Zach XBT, this Solana co-founder, his data wasn't even leaked in the Coinbase leak. Supposedly, he took a picture of his passport and all his sensitive data, and then that stuff gets uploaded to the cloud if it's saved in your camera roll. And then if it's uploaded into the cloud, it's like obviously anybody who can hack that can get access to that info. So I mean, overall, I feel like people just need to be more careful, whether you're a user with like $20 that you want to protect, or you're the co-founder of Solana. Like people need to not save pictures of your passport on your phone. Don't take pictures of your seed phrase, like things like this. Because I didn't even know this guy existed, and now I like know his address, his wife's address. Like in Telegram, they were leaking credit card info and all types of stuff. So I don't know. It's scary, but I mean, also it's like this is part of crypto. You kind of just gotta if you're gonna be doing crypto, you need to have your ducks, your eggs in order.
But how do you have your ducks in a row if if you're gonna use any kind of like centralized on-board or off-border exchange, you're gonna do KYC, and you have no control over where they, verify that information, where do they do the face recognition. So there are like at least three other actors down the line whose data protection practices now you are dependent on. Like, how do you defend against
Well, I
that?
mean, that's the thing, is like we can't really defend against that, right? So it's like, what power do we have to be like, Coinbase, protect my info? You better protect it. Like, all we can do is just kind of hope that they're protecting it to the best of their ability.
We
And
can
so, like,
join the Illinois
the
class
lawsuit,
action suit.
yeah. But I mean, as far as like what you personally can do to affect the outcome, it's like all we can do is just try our best to like get your ducks in order. And then it's like, if a company like Coinbase messes up, then obviously that's on them. Let's start a lawsuit, move to Illinois. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like generally this things like this will keep happening, and overall security, user security, hopefully will just generally slowly but surely get better. People will become more familiar. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm of two minds on this, right? So like kind of rewinding to what you were saying about people protecting your identity when you offer this up. I mean, every single major hospital or insurance company has had their entire databases leaked. And that includes everyone's socials, addresses, medical conditions. And these hospitals are operating on like 20-year-old computers as well. So I'm never
Scary thought.
necessarily like, oh man, they leaked my information, because that ship has sailed, right? We do think that everyone needs to protect it, but unfortunately, I think the hackers are, going to eventually break through anything at some point, right? Unless you're doing, insane things, and that's all you focus on. The hackers are going to move faster, and there's more of that. Um, but when it comes to like personal security, I do wonder if there are necessarily fail safes in place that either stop the ability to launder funds that are stolen, or going back to our first topic, like rewind any sort of transaction, right? Because right now, what makes the ability of like, oh, I'm gonna knock over this guy's house, have him transfer $40 million in crypto, and then I'm gonna launder it and disappear into the night. Um, I think if that's a lot more difficult to do, whether it could be rewound or the ability or the inability to cash out, I think we'll see these things kind of go down, hopefully, because I don't like seeing anyone lose a finger just to
Yeah,
get
that's a good
access
take.
to a cold wallet, right? Look, Katya's over here giving me the face like, no, we needs to be able to be breaking into people's houses.
Well,
You
I
want to
mean, to
ransom
her point
me?
earlier, like Einstein existed, so who knows? Maybe like some super smart dude is gonna figure it out. It's for sure not
Maybe.
me.
I mean, that's
I
the
think
point of
they
Ethereum,
are
right?
figuring it out. Like, somebody somewhere is working on ZK proofs, which I still don't understand, but I'm hopeful for, like, and things like that, where we can verify ourselves, verify things without exposing anything that doesn't need to be exposed. Because like Vince mentioned, hospitals, etc., a lot of the time it's not so much the doxing of the information itself, like address itself or whatever, like you show your driver license to, like every bartender or whatever it is, it's not the doxing of the license itself or whatever. It's the tying of that information to other information like
Mm-hmm.
medical records, or like your accounts, like so when somebody knows your address and your kind of like workplace and your residence and all of your illnesses and all of your history and all of your credit card history and what you've been buying and for
And you're a
whom,
ledger owner.
and
True.
your crypto balances and your bank balances or whatever. Now that's the issue, so.
Yeah. Speaking of verifying and having things on chain, Michael Saylor just said the other day that, on chain proof of reserves, when it comes to Bitcoin, is a bad idea. And he said this at the big Bitcoin conference. Kale, talk to me a little bit about this. Is it all just making headlines for Garbo, or does he actually have a point?
He definitely has a point. Um, because even little like small guppies like us who we don't control millions and millions. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I can only speak for myself, but we're not controlling millions and billions of dollars. And even us, we want to hide our public address. You know, we don't want everybody knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And it like, it's just common sense to me. You know, it's like the more people who know your address, the more of a security risk it is. Um, the question then becomes is like, how moral is it for a public company to not be transparent about that, right? Because like
Yeah.
that's different. Like a small guppy like us hiding our public address versus like a huge MicroStrategy trying to um, hide addresses. It's not really the same vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree with his sentiment, you know, because it's like it's undeniable. The more people who know your address, the more you're at risk. Um, I think ultimately, to bring it back to ZK proofs, like that, some kind of ZK proof will be the solution for this in the end because we do need companies to show on chain reserves. I think like that would be very nice so that I know this company's not lying to me. But
Yeah.
also, it's like, yeah, he has a point. We don't need to know the addresses and somebody gets ranch attacked. It's, I don't know.
I do have a really dumb question. Like, couldn't I just take like a database of where every single wallet that has Bitcoin in it and just sort by largest to smallest and be like, okay, here I
That's
am. I'm gonna start to figure this out.
that's so true because when I was thinking about this earlier, I had that same thought because I feel like okay, even though he has a point and blah blah blah, all of that, like no matter what, I feel like yeah, hackers will probably find a way. So I don't know, it's tough. It's tough. He does have a point, but you're right, man. I mean, like hackers will hack. So it's like, who I don't know. It's hard to say.
I'll have to put that on my post Italy trip
Throw pillow.
pillow. Hackers will hack. Put it on a
Hackers
throw
gonna
pillow.
hack.
Hackers gonna hack. Katya, talk to me about this.
So I thought that I watched the clip of him answering the question. I mean, I guess the reason it went viral is that because after FTX and all those things, it became such a respected kind of best practice level sort of thing to publish on-chain proof of reserves. And, it's kind of like almost a blue chip mark of a crypto company, So I think that's why it caused a stir, him saying that. I did find his argument because he says, it's not a good idea because um, oh, if you decided to publish, the telephones and bank accounts and addresses of your children and thought that would make your family better, that doesn't make your family better. And I was like, what does that have to do with a huge company that, like, your kid, what? Like, what
Yeah.
is that argument? So I found him curiously not well spoken when
Hmm.
he was actually in the moment about it. I understand the point he is making, but it was just kind of like, well, you don't want to like have everybody know your kid's phone number. No, what does it have to do with a 65 billion company that like so what I do find compelling in what he said is that a proof of for a huge company like that, proof of reserves is not proof of resiliency
Hmm.
because you don't know what the company owes. You don't know anything else except like this is what they're holding. But considering the instruments of lending and leverage and all kinds of things that are available to big financial institutions, just knowing that right now there's this much Bitcoin or whatever sitting in that wallet does not give you the full picture. I agree with that.
Hmm.
That like if it's a big financial institution that's handling other people's money, that there are other parameters. Like there's like uh, auditing standards, right? That needs. So I agree with that. That if you really want like transparency, that it's much more than just a wallet with some Bitcoin in it. That takes more than that.
That's a good point.
And so I agree with that point that he eventually made. And the other thing that I saw a write up somewhere of his other remarks that like are after the clip or whatever
Mhm.
that I found interesting is that he does say straight up, if you are a maxi, if you are like that, just self custody your Bitcoin, just have
Yep.
your Bitcoin and hold it, and that's it. And then don't deal with FTX, don't deal with offshore companies, don't deal with anybody. Self custody your Bitcoin. But if you are an investor, if this is your work, if you're gonna be like using TradFi / crypto DeFi tools, etc., then what these kinds of institutions need to go through is much bigger than publishing a wallet address, and publishing a wallet address may not be the best path, or the full path to transparency. So
Yeah.
that
I
I
did
agree with.
I did like his point of like, self custody. I did bump on when he's like, I just don't, trust some tweaker kid that works for a crypto company. I'm like, oh, I think he's like tweaker weirdo. And I'm like, everyone in tech is a tweaking weirdo. Like, what do you mean?
Half our
Oh
industry.
yeah, he was talking specifically about the FTX people, but yeah, but like that's not a
All of
parameter
tech,
that's gonna
like
yeah.
Zuckerberg doesn't know how to look people in the eye. Like, give me a break. Speaking of breaks, let's take a break from all of this stuff and let's get into the hot gossip, shall we? Let's talk about Trump's dinner. Let's talk about this meme coin dinner that just had some weak looking steak. Katya, you always have opinions on parties. Tell me about this party.
Oh wow, I haven't been requested for a party opinion in a while. So I I saw a clip of him speaking, and he was like, "Oh, everybody is in Texas. I didn't know. I would have worn a tux and whatever." So the most famous crypto person who was there was Justin Sun, who paid like $40 million, I believe, of whatever of amount of Trump coin to be there, which I don't know. Like I feel like it was a gathering of mostly losers who are like have money in crypto but don't have access, so they're trying to get access,
Mm-hmm.
or fanboys, like literally, like I read the New York Times article, and it was like mentioning people who were just literally were like after a selfie with Trump, and they were like,
Yep.
it will be worth it to me if I get a handshake or a selfie. That was the vibe at the party. What do you think my opinion of it is? Like I will age myself, but no scrubs comes to mind.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kale doesn't even understand that
The
reference.
reference.
No, that's
Nope.
Kale,
the
talk to me about
passenger
this.
seat song.
Oh, hey, look
Oh,
at you go. Didn't know you had it in you.
Dude, come on now. The meme dinner though, I don't know. It feels cash grabby, which like
Mm.
at this point, am I surprised? Not really. Um, it's definitely a bad look, and it sets a bad precedent. But it's like I said, it's not the first one that happened.
Yeah.
I feel like a huge part of me is just grateful that crypto is even getting recognized. Like our industry is growing up, so to speak, even though it's like via this super immature token party or whatever meme coin party. It's nice to just see political figures and more like
but
important
but
people, so to speak.
there were protesters outside of the party, like people who flew in from like all over the world to protest this thing, and one of their slogans or whatever it is about like crypto corruption, like this is the crypto corrupt president. And what that actually does, it's like those headlines that we were talking about earlier. It stamps this crypto corruption, it ties, glues the word corruption to crypto.
True.
And and just because I mean Trump has corruption allegedly of all kinds,
Mhm.
not just crypto, but with with these kinds of events that in the public mind tie crypto to corruption stronger and stronger and stronger, that this is a specific, like that I feel is a negative.
Also, though, like to that point, like people outside protesting, they just remind me of like people protesting Pokemon back in the day, because like Pokemon was unstoppable. It doesn't matter if you said that like the kids are worshiping the devil or whatever, like it was here to stay. And crypto, I feel like is the same vibe. Like you may feel however you feel about it, but it's not going anywhere. And yeah, like this is just a part of the process in my eyes. Like it's obviously it's not gonna all be sunshines and rainbows, but ultimately, I feel like if you believe in capitalism, which I do, it's like this is just what happens under that system.
It's interesting. This entire thing made me think of our conversation with Noah from the MoonPay team, because I thought he brought up a great point about how exciting it is for a niche industry to be part of this presidential focus. And I do wish that this entire dinner would have been much more focused, right? The president was there for 5 minutes, gave a speech, and then left. Like, didn't shake hands, didn't actually have conversations with anyone. And I think that had that aspect occurred, I would have been more excited. Because as it stands right now, it just feels like a appearance for a very, very mediocre talk, just read off a cue card, being like, "I guess you believe in this, huh? That's crazy." And I'm disappointed kind of across the board, but especially in the food. That food looked so sad.
Probably not as disappointed as people who paid millions of dollars to be there.
Very, very true. But you know who didn't pay millions of dollars to be here? Us and you, dear listener. Because we've come to the end of our episode. I hope you're feeling smarter. You should, because you've just been read in on everything that you need to know. Make sure you find us all on Twitter or X, whatever you call it these days. If you disagree with anything we said, make sure you send mean tweets, but only to Katya, because I can't take it. Leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and like this video. It helps us grow the show. And until next week, stay safe out there. Thanks, guys.
Bye.